Hey Buff fans, Troy and I here. It's definitely been a minute. We've been busy. Troy went to Vegas.
I
I've been,
did.
yeah, I've been working, but it's been a pretty exciting basketball journey we've seen in the last 2 weeks of the men's fighting their way into the tournament, the women's not seeing the best ending, but really fighting their way in the Pac-12 tournament. But once again, the Beavers, those pesky Beavers, man, they got it done in double overtime. That game was nuts. And I think both of the Buffs, I think it'll be like the first time, I don't know the stat, live podcasting. It's been a first time in a while since both Buff teams have been in the tournament, but come Selection Sunday, we'll see some more clarity on that. And men's side too, they just got to Vegas as well. They play Utah today, the sixth seed, I believe, at 9:30. So that'll be fun. I don't know. You kind of hope.
Hopefully it's 9:30.
Yeah, you
Hopefully.
got really lucky in Vegas with like the early tip, like early game, so you just gotta like chill in the evening.
Yeah.
When I went during college, they played like the 8 p.m. slot, so that was kind of a bummer, but still
That's how the
fun.
women
It's still
were
like
last
it's
year
still a
when I was
great
there.
experience. I definitely have some FOMO on not being there, but financially it was just a little bit too much. But enough about me. We want to get into more of the Buffs and what's going on there. Spring practice starts on Monday.
Hmm.
We haven't received the timing for that yet, but I bet we will this weekend.
Once they're
And
done shoveling.
yeah, think they'll be practicing outside.
I have no idea,
Definitely
honestly.
not. I mean, I'll probably in like
I
if it
doubt
gets
it.
warmer and nicer, but yeah, I think we'll see about that. So pro day was moved to the 19th, um, 1 to 4:30. Um, the guys who will be participating in that is Taj Alston, Javon Antonio, Jordan Dominic, Derek McClendon, Juwan Mitchell, Leonard Payne Jr., Vassier Smoke, Blake Stenstrom, Roderick Ward, and Noah Young. So a lot of guys that we know. Linebacker Noah Young, he's more of a walk on, and Blake Stenstrom was a used to play for the Buffs and transferred to Princeton, and he will be throwing for them come pro day for Javon Antonio at least. And yeah, I was moved. I didn't realize how much snow they're actually going to get. Like, when the weathermen and like you see weather stuff pop up on your feed on Twitter. That's when you know that this snowstorm's coming because I don't really get like the weather Twitter that much. It's like all sports. So I saw the weather guys like really breaking down how much snow we're going to get, and I guess it was valid for CU to move it. And they canceled classes. Like when we were at school, like classes getting canceled was a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
But I'll be at pro day. You'll be at pro day too, right?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll both be there. We'll do a little like recap and kind of see what's going on. I remember last year too. That was like fun and got to catch up with the guys and like Isaiah Lewis and Quinn Perry, but I feel like the one pro buff that like mostly panned out was Brady Russell.
Hmm. Yeah, Brady Russell last year. I mean, we'll see about the list this year. I'm intrigued to see how Jordan Dominic performs. If he tests well, he could be a guy that potentially could sneak onto some late round boards. I'm intrigued to see that because he was the most productive guy on the front seven last year
Hmm.
for CU. Good to see them bringing Blake Stenstrom back into giving him a platform to kind of show out in front of the scouts. Um, I was a little disappointed to see that Xavier Weaver is not going to be testing. I know he's got the shoulder thing, so I hope he gets healthy soon. But it felt like that either a good combine or a good pro day would have really helped him try to earn some day three buzz. So
Hmm.
we'll see if that hurts him at all. But overall, yeah, really intrigued to see Jordan Dominic on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see how they boost their stock. I'm interested just to see Juwan Mitchell too, because I feel like he was a productive linebacker. Like,
Hmm.
he's an effective tackler. He's really good in the box. And, of course, there was off the field issues and there was a lot of fluctuation with him there. So I think that's probably another thing NFL teams look at is,
Yeah.
behavior and character, and because, you don't want a flaky or problematic player like a Antonio Brown, I guess.
Especially in the late rounds, it kind of becomes like,
Yeah.
is it worth like if I could pick a day three player without that, it's not worth it for. But Jawan Mitchell's a talented player. He showed that off last year. I mean, you get recruited by three Power Five schools. You've got some talent. So that'll be an interesting one to watch too, how he kind of shows up next week.
Yeah, definitely. But excited to get some more football back and be
Yes.
present and just see what this team kind of looks like and how it all shakes out. I mean, I'm
Agreed.
hearing like kind of how the spring game weekend's going to be like another huge spectacle again, but they aren't being broadcasted on ESPN. I saw that.
No.
So maybe another network might pick that up, but might be a Pac-12 thing. We'll see, but we'll be there in person to see the potential Little Wayne halftime performance at the spring game.
Probably be an ESPN Plus. I'm I think this isn't reporting. This is guessing, but probably ESPN Plus because that's what the Big 12 carries all of their kind of auxiliary stuff.
Mm,
It's all ESPN Plus. Much better than Pac-12 Network.
yeah, RP. RP to Pac. I know that's why another reason I have FOMO is just it's the last season of the Pac-12, and I don't know. I wonder if they'll host the Pac-12 tournament basketball in Vegas.
They announced yesterday or 2 days ago that they're keeping it in Kansas City for at least 2031, I think, through 2031.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
that wish
I
is
thought
out
I'm
the window
king.
then.
Vegas, no. Kansas City. You
Kansas
get
City.
what you
Kansas City's
get.
also cool too. It's
I
like
like Kansas City.
it's definitely like a very historic town.
Barbecue.
Yeah,
Lots
barbecue.
of
My
barbecue.
least favorite kind of food, actually.
Oh, come on. No.
I
All right.
just like I
Next.
never really like grew
Next.
up with like good barbecue.
Next.
I never
Next.
even like experienced something better. So maybe Kansas City is the answer for me. But
Next. Bad take.
um well we'll get into the women's side, and I want to hear. I literally haven't talked to you since you got back from Vegas, and I'm super jealous that you went and looked like you and Nigel had fun. Kind of covering that instant classic that was the Buffs and Beavers game. Just like, oh my God, every time the Buffs had a little bit of momentum, the Beavers just immediately answered, and it was like that back and forth towards during the fourth quarter, and of course that led into double overtime, and neither team was giving up until that last stretch. I think the Buffs maybe ran out a little bit of gas there, got the Oregon State turned up their defense a little bit more. But yeah, break down your experience there and that game and just everything that ensued.
Yeah, it was great. I love going to tournaments because, I show up at the beginning of the day and I leave 12 hours later, 4 games later. It's great. It's my kind of that's my kind of thing. Especially in a conference like the Pac-12 women's this year, that was just incredible. CU and Utah both had to play on Wednesday in the first round. They didn't get the bye. CU was fifth in the conference. Utah was sixth. They were the only two ranked teams in the entire country that had to play the first round of their conference tournament. Um, no other ranked team, every other ranked team earned a bye, but when you have 6 ranked teams in your league, the math
Yeah.
doesn't exactly work out. I thought CU played pretty well, actually. They on Wednesday they beat Oregon by 50 points, and that Oregon team is terrible, but they also set records for least points in a Pac-12 tournament game and worst shooting percentage in a Pac-12 tournament game and biggest blowout in a Pac-12 tournament game. And then I thought they played well on Thursday too. Look, it's they're and J.R. Payne and Maddie Nolan and a couple of others echoed this both after the game and when I talked to them earlier this week. But their communication was a lot better. Their flow was a lot better. Their tempo was a lot better. Aaronette Vonleh really looked like she was more comfortable than she has been in about a month, which is a really big deal for them. She played great against Oregon State before fouling out in the overtime. It was a little frustrating because they got up out to a double-digit lead in the first half, and they did it again in the second half. And both times they immediately sort of just relaxed and they kind of slowed down. And when they slow down, that's when they kind of get stuck, especially offensively. And Oregon State went on runs almost immediately when they did that and got back into the game. And then in overtime, I thought that it was brilliant from Oregon State head coach Scott Rueck, who he talked about this post game too, was that he went small. He put Reagan Beers on the bench, and he put Tamia Gardner, the sixth player of the year in the Pac-12, who can really shoot it at center. And this is part of the reason why it's a tough matchup for CU, because they don't have like it's really hard for Aaron and Vonleh to guard a center who is going to pick and pop and is going to spread the floor. And Oregon State did that, and they got baskets almost every time. Just spacing the floor, driving the lane, kicking out for threes. Their freshman point guard, Donovan Hunter, was really, really,
Yeah,
really good. She played phenomenal. And, you know, those in games that are that tight, those subtle adjustments, or like Dominika Parova hits a big three in overtime, and she's not usually one of their big contributors, but those little moments are kind of the things that decide those games between two really good teams. So not the result that they were looking for, but I was encouraged by their level of play compared to the way that they ended the regular season the last couple of weeks. And I think that sentiment was shared among J.R. Payne and the rest of the team.
definitely. I think a big pivotal moment in that game was Ariana fouling out because they were dishing her the ball all the time when
It
her
was
peers
not a
were
good
going up.
foul either. It
I
was
know.
not.
Oh,
It was a total frustration. Like, she got Beers boxed her out and got a rebound, and Aronette kind of reached in, and she was frustrated that she couldn't get the rebound, and she kind of just hacked her. And as soon as it happened, we were sitting over there. We were like, "Oh, you can't foul 90 feet from the basket."
I know.
But
It was such a physical battle between those two,
yeah,
and I think both of their squads were really relying on them offensively and defensively,
mhm.
just all around to, keep both of their squads in the game. And it's just, I agree with all of your sentiments. Like, it was such a bounce back from, the
Yes,
mundane end that they had towards the end of their season, and it was a really great showing of their competitiveness and who they are as a team. And there's a lot of that shift down across women's basketball that was really advantageous for the Buffs in
yeah.
getting them to be hosting and having a 4 seed going into the tournament. A lot of surprises, and it was just really a productive weekend in terms of where the Buffs are going to land come the tournament. So, what did you see over the weekend?
Yeah, we kind of left Thursday. I also want to shout out USC too, who won the tournament. They were phenomenal, especially Sunday. Juju Watkins did not play well, and the rest of their team, Rhea Marshall, Mackenzie Forbes, stepped up big time, which is really encouraging for them to be able to win a game like that. But um, we kind of left Thursday with CU thinking, where are we gonna be traveling for the first week of the NCAA tournament? And then one by one, the dominoes just started to fall around them. Indiana got upset in the Big Ten quarterfinals. Baylor got upset by Iowa State in the Big 12 quarterfinals, and then Iowa State. See, you might have to send Iowa State a Christmas card or something. Iowa State beat Baylor, and they beat Oklahoma the next day. Creighton got upset. Syracuse got upset. Gonzaga got upset in their conference championship game, which was a huge shocker. So really, none of these teams around the Buffs made a big impression on the committee this weekend. I think there's probably two 4 seeds, two host spots that are pretty much up for grabs right now. I would expect them to go to either Indiana, Oklahoma, CU, maybe Utah sneaks in there, but
Mm,
um, I would be pretty surprised at this point, honestly, if CU playing in their strength of schedule is way up there. They're ranked in the top 16 in the net. I'd be pretty surprised at this point, honestly, if they were not playing home games next weekend, and that would just be another confidence boost on top of the way that they played last week. And yeah, that would be big for them. That would be massive.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can't personally recall the last time that they hosted in Boulder, but I mean, I know
I think it was
well, they were close
2000.
last year.
I think it was 2003.
Mm,
I'll look that up.
yeah, that'd be an exciting home crowd though. Like, oh,
Yeah.
have hosting in your own home, always the best. And I think, you know, maybe biased, but they, I think they
2002,
deserve
they were
it. Yeah.
2002, they were a 3 seed. They
Mm,
made the Elite Eight. That
mm.
is the last time they made the Elite Eight.
Ooh, no, you and Nigel. Maybe I'll figure out maybe some traveling in here and there, but
Yeah, we'll see where
yeah,
they're.
let's see how far they get into the
They gotta
tournament.
win. They gotta win the games
Yeah, they
first.
got
They gotta win
I
the
always like
games.
to get ahead of myself too, but I really impressed on,
Mhm.
how they finish and what shook down over the weekend. Everything was really working towards their advantage and excited to see. I remember Selection Sunday last year. It was just such like a fun environment and just being able to like talk to them. I feel like last year was such a, monumental step for them with wow, JR Payne going, to the tournament back to back. So now this is like a consistent thing and a
Mhm.
program that she's really built up from, the ground up. So excited for them. Always love to see them, succeed and just this is, this feels like, this is their year. There's so much competitive basketball and there's going to be a lot of like obstacles ahead. Like you just see what the Pac-12 provides and how difficult that is. And at least, within the first round, it seems like pretty comfortable and fun. But once you get
Yeah,
deep into March, into April, like it gets even more exciting because March is the best time of year. It's like I said this before, it's college basketball. The tournament is one of my favorite sporting events.
agreed. That's another thing that they said at practice on Tuesday. J.R. Payne said it. Maddie Nolan, I think, said it. Jalen Sherrod definitely said it. They were like the Pac-12. We've seen everything in the Pac-12. We're not going to be, nothing is going to surprise us going into the tournament because the Pac-12 this year has prepared them so well for that. So that's another kind of thing that they can draw on as they head into the next couple of weeks.
Indeed. Well, we'll shift over to the men's side and talk about that. I mean, yeah, we haven't talked in a while, but the Buffs,
They
first
haven't lost
22,
since we
I
talked about it.
know. First 22 win season in program history and, six straight wins to end that historic season. They really put their, pounded the pavement towards the end and that win against Oregon on the road was, their pivotal one that they got and it was a gritty battle. Javon Hadley stepped up, KJ Simpson. We saw like, a cohesive effort up there, and then they just absolutely steamrolled Oregon State as well. So, incredibly strong ending. And unfortunately, we did not see KJ Simpson as the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Um, did he get snubbed? Possibly, likely.
Yes, he got
Yeah.
snubbed, guys. Come on.
Caleb Love won Pac-12 Player of the Year, and KJ first team honorable mention defense. Not, and it's like, some interesting end of season awards and Tristan Da Silva second team, Cody Williams all freshman team. So that's kind of how it all shook out. But I think Colorado, like they proved themselves, like they really knew the obstacles ahead. Fortunately, they had a pretty end of season easy route to get to those 6 wins. Like they had um Stanford, like Stanford for the first time. Uh, and then I know they played Oregon. They played Cal, right? Or am I?
They played USC on the road, that double overtime, then Utah at home, Stanford, Cal at home, Oregon State on the road.
Yeah.
Oregon on the road is no cupcake either. And USC on the road's not either. USC's low-key playing some good ball. They play Arizona in a couple hours after beating the crap out of them last weekend, which I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens there.
I know they're definitely they're such a surprising squad because they can get beat really bad, but they pull up
They're
in
not going to
odd
be they're not
occasions.
going to be they're not going to be less talented than just about anyone. So, it makes them dangerous.
Oh man, yeah, the double overtime against USC February 17th feels like centuries ago.
And they were down by double digits in the second half.
Yeah, that was, a big
We were
obstacle for them
confident.
as well, and they
Just
overcame that.
about
It's
everyone
like such
was.
a another, it was maybe similar to the women's and that things, were advantageous for them over the last weekend. Like, we paint these pictures of what's going to happen during the postseason, and Colorado, of course, set themselves up in a really lucrative position, of course, getting the 3 seed in the tournament, getting the first round bye, and everything that they wanted to happen. Maybe that they could have got a win against UCLA, but regardless of that, they set themselves up really well for getting into the tournament. Now they went from the first four out to the first four in. Still not quite there yet. Um, I think, the Pac-12 tournament championship will get them guaranteed. But do you think, with a, semifinal win or any wins within the Pac-12 tournament will get them a spot
I
postseason?
I think that they're winning in tonight. I do think I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if they won tonight and were left out. How funny is it also? Shout out Folsom Frenzy podcast. How funny is it that the only thing that's left between CU and the NCAA tournament is Lawson Lovering and the Utah Utes? Um,
That's
but
funny.
I do think that tonight is winning in, and then tomorrow night, look, they I think they're a better basketball team than Washington State or Stanford if they advance
Hmm.
and play tomorrow night. I think that anything short of an appearance in the championship game would be a slight disappointment, especially with how they've been playing. But look, they've done what they needed to do, 6 games in a row. They've gotten themselves on the right side of the bubble. 3 of those wins on the road. Before this stretch, they had only won one true road game the whole season. So they've kind of turned a corner there. I asked some of them on Tuesday uh what they think kind of has catapulted them here, and Tad Boyle said it, KJ Simpson said it. They were really adamant turnovers and defense. And I dug into the turnovers, and it's true. The last 6 games, they're turning the ball over at a average rate, roughly around the country, which isn't great, but it is a lot better than they had been when they were one of the worst turnover teams in college basketball. So they're playing their best ball, which is what you want. They should be confident going into tonight. They blew Utah out at home just a couple of weeks ago, and their loss to Utah in Salt Lake, they were super banged up. And that was a close game. And Utah has been playing pretty poorly.
Yeah,
They looked good last night against Arizona State. Who doesn't?
they
But
almost beat Oregon, but missed that last corner
yeah,
three.
and they lost at Oregon State, which is
Oof.
not a good loss. Utah is at the point now where they probably need to win the tournament to make it. So they will be very desperate.
Mhm.
But CU's still desperate. They know they're not safe. They know how quickly that things can change around them. There's a lot of teams on the bubble playing today. They almost got lucky with Villanova losing to DePaul last night, but they won on a last second three. But Tad Boyle said on Tuesday, I love this quote. He said, "This game should not mean more to anyone than it does to us." Because the question was kind of like, these teams are going to be very desperate because they know they need to win the tournament. And Tad was kind of like, we need to keep winning. Like we are not done. We can't just be done winning. Because if you lose tonight, you put it in the committee's hands, which is never what you really want to do. Just
Yeah.
ask Alec Burks, which I yelled at on the pod. I yelled about on the pod a couple weeks ago. That team should have made it. They didn't. Um, but yeah, tonight feels like a win and in game. Their metrics are good. They're playing well. They're 26 in net, 26 in Ken Palm. Both are great numbers. No team below 31, I think, has ever been left out in the net since they started doing it. But yeah, big one tonight.
Cody's back too.
Yeah, Cody, I think, is back. They haven't
Fully
um
announced it. He's practicing.
yeah, he practiced Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday he was moving pretty well. He was doing full contact. He was scrimmaging. Um Tad said fingers crossed about him playing. So we'll see. Julian Hammond, I wouldn't expect this weekend. He was not practicing still.
Mm,
He was suited up, but non-contact.
okay.
So I doubt that we will see him, which means more Javon Ruffin,
Let's go.
who's been fine, and more Bangot Dak, who has been really, really good.
Yeah.
After the Cal game, Bangot Dak didn't play. Asan Jope got the backup center minutes, and Tad kind of went out of his way after the game to say that he said, I have not given up on Bangot Dak. He kind of went on a tangent about not giving up on Bangot Dak. And since then, Bangot Dak has played and he's played really well. He's blocking a ton of shots. He's active around the rim. He makes some freshman kind of blunders, but that stuff happens, that's part of playing, that's part of learning on the floor. But his activity and his motor on both ends, I think, has been really good, and it's allowed them to kind of play. Eddie can play 28 to 30 minutes instead of 33 to 35 minutes. And I think that allows him to be a lot fresher at the end of these games, which has been big for them.
Yeah. Certainly some more meaningful minutes for Bangot Dak. And just, it's always good to see freshman flash like that because it's, security for the future and provides other teams different looks like, oh, whoa, this kid can actually, do something surprising, especially, you see him connecting with Cajun or the post once in a
Mhm.
while. I was watching the Oregon Utah game too, and classic Lawson, he was right under the post and one of his guys gave him the ball and he was right under there, but he just couldn't make it. And that's of course what the Buffs are missing so much. And I think, Eddie Lampkin too has really made his strides there, like being really active. He recorded his 8th double-double
Mhm.
against man,
Oregon State. He
Oregon
was
State.
awesome against Oregon State. Eddie was. I was watching it and I was every like two possessions, I was like, man, Eddie is playing great. And then I would keep saying it to myself, man, Eddie is playing really great. I'm like, wow. So that was good to see because he kind of had a little bit of a rough night against Oregon. But Oregon's a tough matchup. They're big team, and Folly Dante in his however manyth year of college at Oregon. I say this as someone who grew up a fan of Oregon. I've been watching N'Faly Dante play basketball for far too long.
I know he's been around for a minute.
um, yeah. The other thing with CU too is I want to shout out Tristan because he really has kind of leveled up the last couple weeks, and I think that's been a big difference for them. KJ has consistently been the number one guy. Javon Hadley has consistently been kind of the under the radar number 3 guy. And Tristan has kind of fluctuated throughout the year, playing like that second star next to KJ, and then he'll kind of disappear at times. But the last 6 games, he's been excellent. He's been more aggressive. He's been a better playmaker, and he's been shooting the ball better. But he's really just been hunting his shot and hunting his offense, which then opens up things for his teammates. He's got 20 plus points in 3 of the last 4 games. He was awesome on senior night. He had, I think, 27 and 11 in that one. So that's been a big development for CU, getting him to play consistently like we know he can. That is what brings out the best version of this team, and that is kind of what has emerged the last month.
Yeah, certainly having more 20-point games and I'm seeing like all double digits here, but specifically from Cal to the end, 22,
Mhm.
27, 22, 22 against Oregon. You know, those are, especially when you play teams that you really need to win against, such as Oregon, you
Yeah,
need two guys getting into those, double 20 point game ranges. And of course you can rely on that
drag.
with KJ Simpson, but now we're seeing definitely more production with Tristan Da Silva. Also too, I think
Drag them
the
through that
way
first half against Oregon.
mhm. I think the way that they're moving the ball as well, I think they've been really more fluid and efficient with their assists and finding their man and really getting everyone involved. At least, of course, we saw them really capitalize that against Oregon State because Oregon State was last in the Pac-12. Didn't really expect much from that team, but it was a good way to end the season, of course, just really dominant and cohesive game. And I think throughout this end, towards the end too, they've been much more conscientious of getting everyone involved and just creating a more dynamic offense for defenses to struggle with. And now they find themselves the number 3 seed. Matchups for today: USC Arizona at 1, UCLA Oregon. UCLA beat Oregon State yesterday. Stanford Washington State within the Buffs bracket, and then Utah and Colorado, of course, tonight at 9:30. Woo! um,
Hopefully,
hoping
Washington
for
State take care of business so we
little
can
USC
go
upset
to bed.
today against Arizona. I will be watching that game. We'll see if that is an outcome for the day.
Yeah, they
UCLA
did it
is
last
going to
week.
be an interesting one too.
Yeah, UCLA are going to be interesting. UCLA is just an odd team to watch. They defend their butts
Yeah.
off though. They defend their butts off, which is dangerous in it's dangerous when you get a team like UCLA that is always going to defend their butts off because they're going to be in almost every game. Because when you make these games 60 to 57, you have a possession here or a possession there that goes a certain way. Now
Mhm.
it'll be hard for them to slow down Arizona like that if they play each other tomorrow. But yeah, UCLA Oregon should be a fun one today.
Yeah, well, this will be like our first world without seeing UCLA and Arizona in the championship together, at least in my world.
The UCLA Gen all left. Tiger
No,
Campbell left. Jaime Jaquez
I
left.
know. I always knew Jaime Jaquez was good, but I didn't realize how good he was until he started playing with the Heat and really like
Yeah, he's killing
getting
it.
integrated and like playing, more meaningful minutes with them. And I'm just like, wow, what a also Benedict Mathurin, Arizona. He is out for the season. Pacers, I believe, too, but
Yeah, he
completely
was having a good
unrelated.
year too. He was getting some more runway with them, um, especially with Halliburton getting injured. But um, yeah, sad for Ben Mathurin.
So rooting for Jabari Walker in Portland Trailblazers. It's a tough team right now. Not as tough as
Yeah,
the
they are
Wizards
a
and the
but
Pistons.
it's good. Jabari Walker gets run on that team because they are
Young.
and he's played well.
Yeah.
He's got minutes, so I hope that earns him either more minutes with them as they get better, or it earns him an opportunity somewhere else. But yeah, that team is a desolate.
Chauncey's trying to cook up there. It's hard.
They're tough. Yeah, it's tough for them.
At least the Nuggets are good. My Warriors, we'll see. But once again, getting ahead of myself. Hopefully, I'll be going to a couple Nuggets playoff games for my other job. So that'll be fun.
Nuggets are clicking. Nuggets are clicking.
Yeah. But oh my God, the Thunder. They're another team that if the Nuggets don't do it this year, I mean, Nuggets are probably gonna run into them, duh. But if the Nuggets don't do it this year, I'm gonna take the Thunder.
Really interesting.
The
I would take
Wolves,
in the West.
yeah.
Hmm. I would still take the Clippers, but
Oh,
I'm a,
true.
but I'm allowed to put the injury thing on the Clippers. If the Clippers are healthy, I'll take the Clippers. But he had back spasms the other night, so it's already starting to they're starting to get banged up, which kind of happens every year.
Oh man,
But
yeah.
beside the point, Nuggets are clicking 10-1 since the break.
Yeah.
Tune in, playing good ball.
Number 1 seed in the West,
Love it.
Celtics. I can't wait for them to choke in the playoffs, but whatever. Enough rambling from us. Basketball is gonna gear up this evening and should be an exciting weekend on both ends, seeing where the Lady Buffs end up and seeing where the men how they play in this Pac-12 tournament and how they find their way. Hopefully, luckily, I think things are clicking right now for the men's side, how they get into the tournament.
Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
with one win in the tournament and hopefully with 2 wins out of Dayton in the first 4. Hopefully they can maybe sneak above that, which would be really nice.
I gotta buy my plane tickets to Ohio.
How about Colorado makes the championship and CSU wins the Mountain West? Colorado State first round. 6-11. I don't think
Damn.
that happened because they played this year,
I
but
that'd be great. Great revenge game. Yeah, I talked to Neek a bit during senior day. He came by and was like kind of supporting his guys, but kind
yeah,
of
that was cool to see him there.
yeah, there's definitely like that camaraderie and brotherhood. He's one of those guys that was so close to them. Also James Madison and Quincy Allen. I think he's still there. I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking so I can
He's supporting that. He supports them.
yeah, he's definitely not
Um,
one of their
they're a good team though. Very good team. Very glad that they won their conference. Them, McNeese, hoping Grand Canyon wins their conference. They're a really good mid-major.
yeah.
And put Indiana State in the tournament. Committee, Indiana State. We don't want to see 14 loss Villanova or Iowa or Michigan State. We want Indiana State in the tournament.
Yeah. We need a
That's my
Cinderella
last
story.
ramble. That's my last ramble today. That's it.
Sounds good. Well, I'll see you
Hit the
soon.
horn.
And I'll talk to you guys another time. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back with another segment very soon. Thanks, guys. Oh, the confetti. That's a fun touch.